Safe to say that most people don't change. Most people can't change. Most people won't change. And today I want to tell you why most people don't change. I also want to say, believe it or not, you don't have to believe me at all. I'm one of those people who's changed many times in my life. Not just my location or the way I dress or my physical body, but my mental state, my mental perceptions, my emotional maturity, my circumstances. I would say I've probably uprooted my entire life, maybe 4 or 5 times just within the past 3 years. Not only that, but with each uprooting came an uprooting of change of almost everything, like personality, perception, maturity level, the ability to handle adversity. All of that came with that. And so I feel like I'm kind of like the perfect person to talk about this subject. So in this video, you'll get a bit of why people never change, and maybe you can try to understand the people around you, why they're not changing. And then how you can be that 1%. Maybe I'm lowballing, not giving people enough credit. It could be like 5%, 10% of people that can actually change on this planet, and what that change actually takes. What it takes to actually fucking change. Welcome to Treu Sovereignty, where we are mastering our minds so we can reclaim our peace. And in this channel, we are intertwining self-improvement with critical thinking, because you can't have one without the other. If you don't understand yourself, how do you expect to understand anything else in the world around you? We as humans are very complex, nuanced, convoluted creatures, and the world around us is also incredibly nuanced and convoluted, and there's almost no such thing as just black and white. We have to understand things from a level of gray. So that's what I'm here to help you guys do. Improve your life and help you understand the world around you, because unfortunately I think we're falling into what I like to call the emotional immaturity pandemic. And I'm gonna kind of dip my toes into that today as well. So let's get into the video. So about 10 fucking people reached out to me I'm not even joking, the past month. These 10 people were people from my past. They could have been people that I haven't talked to in 10 years. They could have been people I haven't talked to in a year. Every single one of them came forward and apologized to me for their nasty behavior, or for ghosting me out of nowhere. Or one of them was, sorry I dated your toxic ex. She actually was toxic, my bad, even though I warned her. And then she proceeded to verbally abuse me. She came back and apologized for that. Anyway, it's like very synchronistic that they all came back into my life just within the past month or two, maybe, not even. Just piles of people from my past. And the really weird part is that none of these people are friends with me on Facebook. Maybe 1 or 2 of them was, but most of them, we weren't even friends on Facebook or Instagram or anything. I also don't live in the same area. I live about 3 hours away from where I once hung out with these people. So I don't live in the same area. I don't talk to any of the people that they know. So there's no grapevine. Most of them don't even know I have a YouTube channel or a TikTok. I would say all of them. Most of them I'm not friends on Facebook. No mutual friends anymore. Maybe at one point, but not anymore. Yeah, these people I kind of left it behind a long time ago. And my point in bringing this up is, well, why do I think it happened like that? Well, I've been on this psilocybin journey, and I was kind of wondering if it was in a spiritual way, but you know how your ex will come back when they leave you? when you've like finally stopped giving a shit. Oh God. You know how your cut. You know how your ex will come back after they leave you when you finally stop giving a shit about them? It's kind of like that, I think. Except it wasn't that I stopped giving a shit about these people because I stopped giving a shit a long, long time ago. But now because I value myself and I have self-worth, the universe is kind of showing me that you've always been worthy. It's never been about you. It's always been about them. They had their own fucking issues going on in their own lives. And you were kind of the punching bag. You know, you got the whiplash from their shit in their life. So that's kind of what it was representative of to me. But not only that, another reason I'm bringing this up is because, okay, I made amends with them. I said, I forgive you, I don't care. It was so long ago, I don't even remember why we fell off the wagon. So we made amends. But then you get to talking to them, and it's like, ooh, you haven't changed one little bit. Not even a little tiny bit. Like, it's like some of these people I haven't talked to in 10 years, and it's like they haven't made 1 inch of a change in their life in 10 years. And it's like, the reason we fell off back then was because we were growing out of each other. And I feel like I've grown so much over this period of time. The new me would never even remotely choose to be in these people's lives. Because a lot of them are stuck at dead-end jobs. They don't change. They're stuck, you know, doing their substances. A lot of it is marijuana and alcohol. For some of them, it's pills. A lot of that we bonded over, right? We would smoke and drink together. And I've just kind of left that stuff behind. As you know, I'm sober. Not only that, but emotionally, they're still stunted emotionally. They're not mature. So I want to give you a few pillars to how you can actually change your life, because there is a pattern in people who don't ever change. There is a pattern, and it's a pattern you don't want to follow. And one of those patterns is accountability. Being able to take fucking accountability. Now you might think, well, these people reached out and they apologized and they took accountability. Yeah, they did. They took accountability. Great. That's number one. But why are they still in the same place in their life? Why are they still at that same dead-end job? Why do they keep going back to college instead of just picking one fucking major and graduating for once? It's because they're not taking accountability for their life, that everything in their life is their fault. And it's time to grow up and realize that. So how can you be accountable? By realizing everything is your fault. Once I realized everything in my life was my fault and not the fault of anybody else except for me, just me, yes. My parents weren't the greatest. My family wasn't the greatest. I wasn't treated the best. But I don't use that as an excuse to treat other people badly. That's just one example. Yes, maybe my job isn't the best. It's not, the people at my job are not helping me flourish and to be a better designer. We're kind of just left to our own devices, right? But I don't use that as an excuse to not be a better designer. You know, that's on me. Yes, I don't have a dream team of leaders and mentors that are guiding me to be a better designer. But that doesn't mean that I can't take that into my own hands and have my own responsibility, at least for now, because everything is temporary. So in that's just another example of how you can take accountability in your life. When life gives you lemons and they're a little brown and a little fucked up, so what? You can still make a sweet, delicious lemonade with lemons that are partially fucked up. That's the point here. It's like, yes, we've all been dealt shitty cards Even the fucking kids who are trust fund babies, even trust fund babies, okay? They're born rich, pretty much, right? They're set for life. I wouldn't want that, necessarily, because in that, you don't learn the value of hard work, the correlation between hard work and a reward, and you might lack purpose. And who wants to lack purpose in this life? Not saying, like, when you make $1 million finally, that $1 million tastes so sweet when it's your hands doing the work to make that $1 million. The next pillar goes along with accountability, and that's emotional maturity. We're in an emotional immaturity pandemic. I don't know. I love police body cams. Of course, you hear me talk a ton about liberals. And not only police body cams, but just everybody has a fucking phone. Everybody's recording everything. And what I have noticed and what I have gathered is that no matter what age anybody is, they could be age 70, they could be age 25, because I mentioned 25 because 25 should be when you start to get your emotional maturity together, since your brain is fully developed. But it doesn't matter what age, everybody seems to be going fucking insane. And I mention liberals because they do it very publicly. I'm not saying MAGA is not emotionally immature, because obviously they are. Everybody is. And it seems like it's getting worse. And a reason for that is because I feel like the bravery of being a keyboard warrior behind the internet, behind a screen name, is coming out into the public. Okay, the public has been conditioned that we can abuse each other verbally online, so now we can verbally abuse each other in person. It's no longer let me hide behind a keyboard. I do believe that the people behind their keyboards saying you're an idiot, you're stupid, would say that to me in person, now. Maybe not 10 years ago, but now, today, yes, they would. I do believe that. I think people are getting so much worse in the emotional immaturity realm. A lot of it also has to do with entitlement. These echo chambers online saying, if men don't do this, then if women don't do that, then, yes, queen, body positivity. Everybody online has their own little cove, their own little group to go to, where they tell you that you're not doing anything wrong, and you don't need to take accountability for anything, and you don't need to change, and you don't need to do anything. Just do you, queen. You're a queen. They've never been told no. Another example of this is that so many teachers are like quitting en masse because of how entitled and disruptive and I don't want to say they're lacking in intelligence or IQ. They're not. What's happening to Generation Alpha is that the parents are not engaged. Okay? The parents are not engaged, so therefore the children are also not engaged in their studies. And I just think back to, number one, when I was a kid. None of this shit was happening when I was a kid. Adults were adults and they were normal. If they were emotionally immature, they typically did it in private in their own houses, around people they were close to. But typically people knew how to say to themselves, I'm not going to act that way because it's just not going to lead to peace in my life. It's not going to lead to what I want. You attract more with honey than you do with vinegar. You attract more bees with honey than with vinegar, something like that. And it seemed to be a common consensus back in the day that, yeah, if you're respectful, if you are kind, if you are pleasant, if you are classy, you will get what you want. Calm the fuck down. You're gonna get what you want, but you have to be a certain way in order to do that. Now people just don't give a fuck. They're like, give me my drink, People are classless. They're like zoo animals. And the only way you're not seeing this is if you don't live in a city and you're living under a rock. Because I'm telling you right now, teachers are quitting en masse because parents have checked out, they're on their phones scrolling, and so therefore the kids are checked out. Everybody's kind of checked out. Nobody has real empathy anymore. You know, they say the liberals are the party of empathy and compassion. That empathy is all fake, because everything is fake now. You know, we've learned from the internet that we can fake and virtue signal certain things, like kindness, in order to be accepted into a group of people. And now we have translated that to reality, right? Online used to be this facade where it was like, yeah, you can act a fool, you can be in these little groups, you can insult each other behind a screen and not get any consequences. And now that's coming out into reality. Internet is coming out into reality. That's not good. Because the internet is full of fakeness, misinformation, lies, lacking of reality, insults, creepy people, and that's gonna come out and seep out into the reality. Why? Because people are now conditioned. They're on their phones online most of the time. I was thinking about making a video about TikTok personalities, because now our kids are being raised on TikTok, and kids are very malleable, their minds are very malleable, so they're gonna pick up the personalities that they see online more so than the personalities of their parents and their teachers and their peers, because they're online chronically. So now everybody's gonna have this cookie cutter TikTok personality. That's just how it's gonna be. It's scary, it's sad. We're in an emotional immaturity pandemic. How can you become emotionally mature? Have self-awareness. Have spatial awareness. You need to be aware of what you're doing almost every part of the day. Not just what you're doing, but what you're thinking. If you ever start to feel yourself bubbling up and thinking something badly about somebody else, whether what they're doing to you or what they're doing to somebody, stop yourself. Just stop yourself and check yourself. You need to be constantly checking yourself all the time. And after a while, it becomes second nature. It's not something that you have to, let me think about this. After a while, it does become second nature, background noise in your mind. But in the beginning, yeah, you're gonna have to force it. And if you don't figure this out by age 25, you're already behind. You are. And unfortunately, a lot of us already are behind. It's very unfortunate. I think that my viewers here, you guys are here to understand yourself, to understand the world around you. And you're already halfway there just by wanting to do that. Most people don't do that. So you're already part of the 1%, 10% of people who are interested in finding out who they are. Another way is to understand your emotions and process your emotions. Learn to do that. Typically, you just go in your room and you have a cry. You don't take it out on anybody else except yourself. Let it out. Let yourself feel without numbing, which is why I recommend sobriety. Let yourself feel without numbing. Process your emotions, which is feeling them, allowing them to be felt for as long as they need to be felt, and then letting them go. Not lashing out, because if you don't process your emotions, you will lash out at the world. You will. I still do it from time to time. It's not a perfect science. You're not going to be perfect. It happens, you know? Especially if it's pent-up anger towards a certain person, as opposed to just pent-up anger towards something, like life in general. Sometimes you have pent-up anger towards a person you didn't even know that you had, and it comes out at them. So you need to take care of all the little nooks and crannies. But emotional maturity is part of that. And then on top of that, emotional intelligence, which is essentially the ability to read other people's emotions without them needing to really say much. The ability to read a room. The ability to not be tone deaf. The ability to have empathy for others. True empathy, not this fake performative empathy that we've been doing. So that's a very light explanation of emotional maturity. And it's something you need to figure out on your own. There's plenty of books. There's plenty of books out there. If you know that's something you need to work on and you can't figure it out, it's time to go to the experts, go to the books. There's plenty of YouTube videos. There's free content for you to consume. And I'll make a video about it someday, probably. This video is already getting quite long, so I'm going to make a part 2. But I'll give you one more pillar to being able to change your life, because changing your life is huge. So it's a lot to talk about. It's a lot to digest. So I'll give you a part 2 so this video isn't too long. But the last one is mastering your health and fitness. I know you don't like to hear it, but yes, working out every day, eating correctly. I recommend sobriety. I said in my other video I would never recommend sobriety because you'll never be sober unless you're fully ready. And it's the truth. It's the truth. But sobriety is going to help you focus. It's going to help you focus. And it's going to help you maintain health. Because what is more important than your physical health? Probably nothing. Because once your physical health is gone, everything else in life goes on pause. Like, my mom just had open heart surgery. She's healing for 3 months. She can't drive for quite a while. Her entire life is on pause from one surgery. And she took care of herself. That's the thing. The doctors think it was more hereditary. So yeah, if you have some hereditary genetic stuff going on in your family, you definitely have to figure out how you can be proactive. And smoking, drinking, popping pills, whatever you do is not going to help you. There's tons of videos of nurses saying, like, I wouldn't do, these particular things. And one of them is smoking, because lung cancer and dying from, like, a respiratory infection is hellish. Not to mention drinking raises the risk of cancers tenfold, or by 30% or something like that. All cancer. And then she said some other things like riding a motorcycle. But go check it out. Go check out, like, what a nurse would say that she never would do, like an ER nurse, what she would never do in life since she has been a nurse for a decade or so. I'm telling you, you can't go wrong with sobriety. It helps your brain from deteriorating. It helps your body from staying in shape. It keeps your body in shape. Your lungs will be great, so you should also quit nicotine, vapes, or smoking cigarettes. That should also be out the window, because, well, here we go. Because we're all going to die around, age 70-something? I don't know, 70 to 80 years old or whatever. I'd rather just, have those last 10 years as peaceful as opposed to in pain, suffering from a disease of some sort. But even before then, if you take care of your health now, your life in its present moment, even if you're young now, your life in its present moment will be 10 times better than if you don't take care of yourself. If you do just sit around, if you do just scroll, if you are constantly drinking soda and eating fast food, you can indulge every now and then. But if you do these things on a daily basis constantly, you're gonna feel like shit in your present moment. The point of life is to live in the present and enjoy the moment. If you truly want to change your life, you need to have the energy and the focus to even be able to remotely change your life, even a little bit. You're not gonna change your life if you're overweight. You're not gonna change your life if you can't go on a 3-mile walk without huffing and puffing. You're just not gonna be able to do it. You need to have the energy and the focus, or else you are gonna stay the same for the rest of your life. You're just gonna stay the same. But that is another reason why people don't change much these days. Everybody is overweight. I think women, it's like 70% of women in the USA are overweight. More than half of women in the USA are overweight. Think about that. It's similar with men as well, but I don't know the statistic with men, so we're just gonna keep it. We're gonna put the statistic of the women in your face right now, because that's pretty insane. That the majority of people, when you go outside your house and look around, are gonna be fucking fat. That's insane to me, because that's another change from way back when in the 70s, the 80s. All the photos show like skinny, in shape people. And now everybody's fucking fat. Go to Disneyland, everybody's fucking fat. And then, of course, with the fat acceptance movement, there we go with the accountability. Zero accountability. Zero. Taking charge of your health. It's just easier to say, like Oprah just said, it's not... What did she say? She said, obesity makes you fat, not overeating. The obesity gene is what makes you overeat, not the overeating itself. The overeating itself does not make you fat. It's the obesity gene that makes you overeat, that makes you fat. Oprah, shut the fuck up. She's just trying to sell her like Ozempic-like drug. That's what she's trying to do. Everybody's selling a GLP-1. Because it's true. Everybody wants to be in shape. Everybody wants to be skinny. They just don't want to do the work to get there. All right, so I'm going to end it here on part 1. If you like this content, feel free to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you in part 2.